All right, John, time for another mailbag. People, it's very easy. Here's how you get in the Haberman and Middlecoff mailbag. 2 ways. You go to iTunes, you leave us a review. In that review, you leave us a question, and you tell us your favorite bar to hang out at. Or...
Yep. You go to Facebook, this website owned by this guy named Mark Zuckerberg. Also, people own it publicly, facebook.com. We have a place called Haberman Middlecoff. You go find it, you like it, and we post everything there as well. And you leave a comment on any video or podcast we post, and we'll find it.
All right.
We'll mine like you do for Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, that's right. We've got 900 supercomputers mining for comments. This podcast and this show, it's all brought to you by our friends at Tito's. Tito's Handmade Vodka, America's original craft vodka, John, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, and it is a beauty. It is something special.
Yep, 40% alcohol by volume, 80%
proof,
and it's just fantastic. You know, it really proof. Is. 80 proof. 80 proof.
Crafted to be savored responsibly.
Yes, drink responsibly, but make yourself a cocktail. Tito's and soda, Tito's and lemonade. We can't recommend it enough, can we, Guy?
No, we cannot. We're big fans. We know a lot of you are big fans. Some of you are like, yeah, I knew about Tito's before you guys. It's like, great. That's why we love Tito's, because they're #1 vodka in America, 6 times distilled in copper pots. Tito himself knows he's got the good juice. Podcast also brought to you by butcherbox.com/ham.
Yep, butcherbox.com/ham. 2 free lobster tails, 2 free ribeyes. No big deal. Who you trying to feed a king? Get yourself 9 to 11 pounds, butcherbox.com/ham.
And DraftKings. Promo code ham on the app or .com/ham. Free to play, pools going strong.
Just download the app, promo code ham. If it was 80% alcohol, that'd be strong drink, huh?
I know. My sister used to work at a bottler in like Napa and Sonoma and brought me an alcohol that's... I always get them so confused, but I think it was high, or like, is it possible to be over 100 proof? Because I think it was.
Yeah, I think you can. The super, super hard alcohol. I remember, I forget the name of it growing up, was like, ugh, pretty strong. You take a shot of it?
I haven't opened it yet. No.
Yeah.
All right, here we go, John. First up, this is from Mr. Superfly. Question is really going to be about Trey versus Jimmy. I've been watching Grant Cohn's practice reports, and as of July 31st, Trey seemed pretty solid, and Jimmy seems to be having the ups and downs. Should we take it seriously? Because I know Jimmy's a bad practice QB. I'm sure everyone remembers 2019 when he threw 5 picks in practice, played good enough for the team to make it to the Super Bowl. Yes, you should be taking it very seriously. We're taking it seriously. We're going to go see more practices next week. He's going to get the Chargers. Take it seriously.
We both appreciate Grant's YouTube hustle as a YouTube brethren.
Mm-hmm.
I watched something he did the other day. He just read his article, and that was a video. Just read his article. He's
just cracking codes, man.
He is. I was like, yeah, I see you, Grant. I see. He's just reading it. Now we'll go to Trey. Now we'll go to Jimmy. He just read it.
Can I get that on Audible?
He gets it. He gets it.
If you're going to take the time to read it, you might as well read it yourself. A book on tape exists. If Audible is a thing.
Yeah, Grant's on top of this. I've disagreed with some of Grant's takes over the years, but
okay.
He was on Bowman. Remember Bowman? He wrote about him.
Yep.
And this one, we're with him.
By the way, sometimes these things, like, with iTunes, it's 5 days removed. Sometimes these questions take a while to post. I'd love, like, August 5th question gets posted, it just appears immediately, but I think they review it to make sure you're not using, abusing something.
I saw Dr. Gottlieb say it was like the CDC data. It takes the process is shitty.
Dr. Gottlieb. This is from Ian. 1 star. How do I set up a push notification for every other week when they talk about the Raiders? I don't think that's possible, but I do think we talk about the Raiders a fair amount.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good review. That was funny. That one made me laugh.
It was.
I hate him killing our 5-star percentage here, but
yeah, it's not bad to have a little balance, right?
No. But no one ever gives you 3 stars. I've never seen a 3-star review.
I've seen 4. I've seen some 3s. Like maybe you're right. Maybe it's just like 4, 5, and 1.
I see 1, 4, 5. And no one's ever a 2 or a 3. Right. Like a 1 is like. A 2 is like a 1 is I would give it less stars if I could, but I have to give it a star in order to review.
You're right. I was thinking I see some 3s on like Amazon. I always look at reviews on Amazon.
Yeah,
They're all over the board.
I love that on Amazon you can filter by how many stars. Like I'm looking for an air filter, like a 5. You can filter like only 5 stars, but you have the option to filter only 1 stars. It's like, why would I do that, Amazon?
Cheap.
Yeah, it's true. Next up, CBM 006. For some Niner fans, these guys aren't that bad. We'll address that in a second. Favorite bar is Goose's Acre in the Woodlands, Texas, outside of Houston. If you guys could be the GM of the Cowboys and didn't have interference from Jerry Jones, what moves would you make to get the Cowboys to the Super Bowl? First of all, I mean, Niner fans are a little strong. We just, butter our bread with the butter provided. Is that fair to say?
We're
fans of success.
Yeah. We don't bite the hand that feeds us, but...
Well, I mean... Some would say that's what happened. Some would say that's what happened on Raiders postgame.
True. But this one, we're not. We're not
afraid. You make it sound like you're afraid to criticize. That's not the case.
Yeah, we talk shit. I would.
But they're good for
Mike
business,
McCarthy.
so we ride that business. What's that? Sorry.
I'd say Mike McCarthy. You're gone.
Can I just remind people that I said this after week 1 last year against the Rams that I thought they had the wrong coach?
You were early.
For the most part, it doesn't seem like Jerry does their drafting anymore.
But
right?
Jerry's been a good drafter. Remember, they took like Zach Martin over Johnny Manziel. They've had a lot of good picks.
If it was Jerry, then Jerry's been a good drafter. I mean, the CeeDee Lamb, it's like offensively, they often care about their offensive line. The Micah Parsons pick this year, I think is going to turn out to be a great pick. Will be interesting. They drafted Kelvin Joseph John, a cornerback out of Kentucky in the 2nd round. But
strengths and weaknesses off the top of your head?
No. Osa Digizua, though, they took. Pac-12 pass rusher, defensive tackle.
Did you see what Bruce Arians said about their 1st-round pick, the Washington pass rusher? What was that kid's name? Tryon? Is that his name?
Joe Tryon, the Bucs, yes.
That someone asked him, like, what was his initials and impressions? And he was like, for a guy that has basically played no football for 2 years, he's kicking the shit out of all of our guys. And I tweeted, like, is Jason Lighton the greatest heater of all time? And, of course, all the haters like, he hasn't even played a game. It's practice. Well, I know Bruce Arians is the last guy to, like, give compliments. And him saying that, he clearly must be kicking some ass, right? Did that stand out to you?
It did. I saw that tweet when you retweeted it. And it's comical that anyone would be like, oh, well, Joe Tryon hasn't played enough yet, because if Joe Tryon's a complete bust, Jason Light's still on a heater, first of all, because he's like 10 for his last 10. Tryon was a guy that I called a Washington game, or I covered something in 2018.
He opted out last year?
His freshman year. He opted out last year. But I remember his freshman year, one of their coaches said, like, just this guy Tryon, like, this is the next guy. And then he played in 19. I'm looking at his stats right here. He had 8 sacks, John, which for a college player is pretty damn good. And then he opted out. So 6'5", 260 coming out of college, like.
Is there a chance that if Corona doesn't happen, which is obviously it did.
He was supposed to have a huge year last year.
And they just had a normal college football season. He's like a top 15 pick.
Well, yeah, John,
there were no pass rushers last year.
No, and he was part of the deal was like, here, UW's going to have these 2 guys that are like, this is what we've been talking about the Pac-12 needs for all these years, right? Is these like freak athletic pass rushers. So
see, that's gonna suck if he becomes some badass with the Bucs, and I bet he will. Like again, Arians doesn't, and people are like, "What? He played but no one even remembers him." And it's it was just the random timing of it all.
I know. Next up from Dirty Sanchez #1. This is a different Dirty Sanchez apparently. I'm trying to figure blah blah blah. Americans always trying to get Premier League rules in America, but could it work in college football with teams getting relegated if terrible? My favorite bar is Taps in Petaluma, bomb wings, and like 60 fresh beer taps. College football relegation. No chance.
0 chance. Why would you ever, if you were Oregon State, be like, yeah, if things don't go well, we'll just, you can take our revenue check away.
Especially because most conferences the majority of the teams are not winning football programs.
Yeah, Vanderbilt's like, yeah, you can give us the boot. We're cool. Just bring in Cincinnati. Yeah, that'll work for us. We vote no.
Also, the rest of they don't want Cincinnati. They're too good. You need some people winning 3 games a year in your league.
I even saw Bill Self was like, I hope our basketball program keeps us alive. Like they realize that it's football. Did
Texas
you
and
tweet this
Oklahoma,
out?
50% of the Big 12's revenue from those two.
Oh, it was Wilner tweeted it out that for every $1 million or for every $1.75 of it comes from football in the Pac-12.
Wilner said that?
So for every dollar the conference generates, over 75% is just based on, we talk about there's only two things that matter, football and basketball. Well, the one is so much bigger than the other.
It is.
I didn't realize. Is it like that? And the other is like the SEC, the same, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, I assume
football's
it's
the majority of revenue in all
75
these
cents
conferences.
of the dollar.
Yeah, it is, because I heard Jay Billis interviewed, and he said, like, someone asked him if he missed the old ACC basketball. He said he does, but, like, the reality is all happens because football makes the majority of the money, so it's, like, it's understandable why it crumbled.
There's not much debate there. This is Jasper, love from the East Coast. I've been listening to Guy and John since their 95-7 days, primarily for the Raiders. Love their intro from the radio show and love their podcast even more today. Thank you for the timestamps, which allow me to skip certain segments that are more important, which sometimes forces me to skip entire shows if it's all Niners talk. My question is, should the Raiders extend and pay Derek Carr before Lamar, Josh Allen, and Baker signs their extensions, which will raise the price tag, or is he going to take a hometown discount? I'll add a third, or will it not? He's not going to take a hometown discount, but what Lamar, Josh Allen, and Baker get paid aren't going to matter.
Before I get to the football questions about the Raider stuff, if you have been one of our day ones, it's like a relationship, right? You met us back in 2014, and we were one human. And at the time, you're like, I loved everything about these guys, because what we did, in this analogy, we talked to a lot of Raiders. We had the Raiders. We had their players on. We went to their training camps. We weren't allowed to go to Niners training camps and host our radio show like we were. We got inside access for the Raiders. And then as we've transitioned, right, we just do way more Niners. They obviously still exist here. The Raiders no longer do. So that person, if it was a relationship analogy, we've just changed a lot as people. So I understand people see eye to eye, even though they enjoy us as humans, right? They enjoy hearing our voices. That. They're just tied to the team that is the reason they fell in love with us. Because, let's face it, there were historically not many shows ever that have talked about the Raiders. That's not a shot. It's just a fact.
Yeah, I can think of one. So, should the Raiders extend Carr before Lamar, Josh Allen, and Baker sign their extensions?
Would Derek accept right now a 5-year deal, $30 million a year? So what's 5 times 5, 150 guarantee, 110? Would he accept that right now?
I mean,
would his
taking
agent
barely
pay
more
Derek
than
this?
Joey Bosa got?
How would he accept less than Dak? It's a complicated situation for the Raiders.
The other complication, and maybe it's not crazy to bring up hometown discount, because the guy did say, Derek did say he would basically quit before he plays for another team.
Well, do you think he'd sign that deal right now? He might.
He might. I mean, he's still got next year at $19 million. 2022 is a $19 million year, and then he's an unrestricted free agent in 2023.
But
so
if the Raiders do give him
contract. But
if they do give him $100 to $120 million, he's not a tradable player, really.
I don't see. If I were him, I would not sign that, because what is average quarterback money going to be in 2023?
45.
It's going to be a lot. Yeah.
Oh, you're saying he might just be 30 might be the average. 30 is the new 20.
Yeah, I'm saying in 2 more years, what will just your 15th best quarterback be making? If Jimmy Garoppolo's making 25 right now, so you're telling me in 2 years, 30, and that's on a 2-year-old contract. In 2 years, $30 million is not going to hold up, I don't think, if he's still your starting quarterback.
What's this year's 25? 3 years to go, 37?
37 per?
Yeah.
Yeah, or at least what would 35 be? With 2 years to go? I mean, that's part of it. Yeah. You're right. If he signs now, you do have 2 years left on your deal right now.
But you get in that situation like Deshaun Watson, Carson Wentz. It does. When they traded Carson Wentz and Jared Goff, it does really hit their cap. It's not you don't just, even though he's tradable because he doesn't make that much relative, to the Raiders, it's not really a trade asset because those first couple years when.
Go ahead.
But I'm saying, why would the Raiders? If you're the Raiders, you just fucking play it out.
Yeah, well, his point is, well, guess what's going to happen in 2 years? You're going to have a quarterback who's above average, and now the dollar amount has gone way up.
He'll be a complicated. Like, if they're not making the playoffs, he's very valuable in the open market. But I can see the Raiders struggling to give like $40 million.
Yeah.
It puts them in a precarious situation. I think they'll wait.
Well, I think they will too. But I would offer him. I might offer him that deal. Yeah, I might offer him that contract.
So basically, he knows he make every penny.
I wouldn't take it.
100 plus. What was his first deal? 120. This one 150. I mean, he's all of a sudden he's worth $200 million.
I wouldn't take it not because of the money. If I were him, I wouldn't take it because I'd go, in the next 2 years, is it possible that I change my stance on wanting to play for this franchise for the rest of my career?
He's been pretty adamant about that.
I know.
For like several seasons.
I know.
The sad part is, whenever we do talk Raiders, I feel like we talk Raiders better than everyone else.
That's a great point. From J-Mac, would it take a Super Bowl or NFC Championship game for Garoppolo to be the quarterback next year? My favorite hangout is Pizza Port in Carlsbad, CA. Best pizza in San Diego and great beer selections. Pizza Port.
My brother's in San Diego right now just sending me videos. It's fucking awesome. Place is sweet.
Tell him to go to Pizza Port. Tell him to go to a Padres game. I guess
I don't go there enough.
NFC Championship game, get Garoppolo back next year?
No.
I mean, the only way that happens to me is if Trey Lance, then it becomes about Trey again. Is Trey Lance not good enough? Right? Then you got a separate problem. But if Trey Lance is just everything you think he's about to become, but Jimmy is just playing so well that for whatever reason you can't replace him, that's that scenario. That scenario is very unlikely.
Very.
This next question comes from, where was this one from? This is Facebook. Aaron Wood on Facebook. Obviously, the Colts need a new quarterback. With Wentz out, Nick Foles has made a come-and-get-me plea. But who do you think is the best fit of the guys that are realistically available? I think Mariota would be a good fit, but his salary would be an issue. Mariota's guaranteed money is what?
$3 million.
So he's actually cheaper than Foles, who's 4.
Was Foles like 9?
I think Foles is 4 and 4. So yeah, I think he's like 8 or 9. But you'd restructure, move. You'd probably whoever they get, they'd probably want to move some money back.
How many times Foles restructured?
I'm telling you, man, it's.
I heard someone say Foles is on the Bears' hook for $9 million, no matter what. So like they're just.
Yeah, but yeah, would the Bears pay some of his money?
Yeah.
To get a better pick, or just
not even. He basically begged Frank to come get him, right?
Yeah. Which I think Frank wants to, but I also think it's hard when your quarterback's 5 to 12 weeks. If your quarterback's 5 weeks, whatever, Eason. If your quarterback's 3 months, you don't think about your quarterback. But at 12 weeks, I think they're crazy to play Eason, but I do get it. Where it's like, what are we really going to do? Maybe we can survive. See, can you survive 4 weeks? Okay. To me, once you start going like 6, 7 weeks into the season, that's really dangerous, which is what it might end up being if they're into mid-October with Jacob Eason as their starting quarterback. But I understand not bringing Foles in. Mariota does make sense, but as you pointed out, if you're the Raiders, what are you getting for Mariota to give up your backup quarterback who's cheap?
They do have Peterman. I don't know. I think the Colts are in just the shittiest of shitty spots. Are these the first 2 ever injuries for this? I've been following sports, and so have you, our entire life, and been in this as a job for a long time now. It's always like 3 to 4 weeks, 9 to 12 weeks, 9 to 12 months. I've never, ever seen a 5 to 12 timetable. And it's weird because it happened back-to-back guys. You're like, all right, who made this timetable up? I've never seen the discrepancy. If there was like 8 to 12 weeks, that would be understandable. Because 5 makes you go, God, it might not be that long. And I saw Quentin Nelson, someone re-Instagrammed it into my Instagram feed, and it was his, like, I'm going to attack this with everything possible to hit that 5-week mark. I think the doctors are doing these guys a disservice. Like, let's be honest. If 12, it's more than likely, even best case, like 8, 5, you're not going to be back in 5. That never happens.
Foot injuries more than any other injuries, it feels like, are the ones where they're like, yeah, you come back and it could get even worse. I mean, I'd say foot and back injuries. My foot and my back. They are the ones that maybe a hammy.
I think it's also easier, like, right, something happens to your elbow, your hand, you don't move it. How do you just get around? Like your foot's like Quentin Nelson has to get to the bathroom, right? You got to get to your car. Like you can't float. So even like put on the boot or even the crutches, like you still end up like, oh shit, kind of fell on it, right?
Next up, John. This is from Matt Furness. Huge fan of the pod, been following for years. Congrats on the Tito's. That's epic. Kyle had a good pulse on the locker room, and guys know when a player's ready. I know they love Jimmy and will back him no matter what, but it's quickly becoming obvious that they have something special with Trey Lance, and you know that locker room is buzzing about him right now. The players have said as much. My question, how can Kyle look his players, especially older vets, in the eye and tell them that Trey Lance doesn't give them the best chance to win right now? I don't think he would lie to us. I only think he would do it if he believed it. I think he'll do what he believes. And so that goes back to what happens in the preseason games. He's not going to stick with Jimmy, I don't think. I don't believe he'll stick with Jimmy just because that's what he said he was going to do or just because Jimmy's the older veteran player. I don't think he'll be in that position to lie to his players.
I'm just basing this off what we've seen. It's only August 5th. There's a lot of stuff to still happen. Based off right now, he wouldn't even have to. The situation has played itself out. And if it continues at this rate, I don't even think he'll really – ultimately, it is his decision. But the decision will make itself. I mean, the way Louis Riddick's talking, it feels like the Bear situation is playing for itself. Things can be so obvious where you cannot – you're crazy. Like, clearly, the one thing Anthony Lynn had working for him, no offseason, they just show up in training camp, and they had to get ready for week 1, and there were no preseason games. So Herbert could, like, make some sweet plays, but it was easy to be like, well, he doesn't quite know the offense or whatever. And then the game started. It was like, what? Like right now, Kyle can just say it's practice. If these practices translate to the games, like there is no decision to be made. It's made itself.
Yeah.
You agree with that?
Yes. Again, the only way that doesn't play itself out is when a coach has a predetermined decision already made, which is what the Chargers situation was last year. And I know people think that's Kyle, but I don't think that's Kyle. Finally, from Carlos on Facebook. Let's go Tito's. As a roster, what position or coach is the one that should get Shanahan and Lynch worried going into the season? Keep up the great work. I'm open to receiving some Tito's bottles as a business card. A small Tito's bottle as a business card. It's hard to keep those in my wallet, but I did say I would think about doing that. Position that they should be most worried about going into the season.
Like you give an airplane shooter, but with your information?
Yeah, exactly. Promo code HAM. QR code on the back.
Have a cocktail.
Yeah, have this one on me.
I didn't listen to the question. I'm sorry. I zoned out.
Position or coach that should get Shanahan and Lynch most worried going into the season right now. We've talked a lot about the secondary. Could it be corner?
Saying coach like on his own staff?
Yeah. Like, is he worried about Wes Welker? I think just saying what should concern them the most. I think I'd probably getting at D'Amico first-time DC maybe.
I would just say overall, like, the team looks excellent right now. Can we just keep our main guys on the field? Because if we keep our main guys on the field, we can win.
Health.
I think it's just that, like, we have some flaws. So does everybody. The 27 Yankees, which I think the majority of human beings that use them as like a saying, like I've been doing forever. I mean, who was on that team? Ruth?
Garrick.
Was DiMaggio on that team?
DiMaggio's last year was in 51, so no, DiMaggio was not on that team.
So it was Ruth, Garrick, and probably some other dudes that raked.
Yeah.
But, like, those teams do not exist. Seattle makes the playoffs every year, and everyone's talking shit about their roster nonstop, and they just win 11 games. Like, so you should be able to win with flawed rosters if you have a good coach and just some elite players. And I think the Niners are even better than that. Like, they have more good players, just at more positions. But obviously, relative to Seattle, a way bigger question mark at quarterback. Like Russell, what's the equivalent Russell makes up for? Like 4-star players? Okay, we don't have the money to sign like 4 extra players, but we got Russell Wilson. Honestly, it could be like 8. I don't even know. He's worth a lot. The Niners have better players in Seattle, I think, top to bottom. But their quarterback play is, you could argue that's a pretty big question mark, right?
Yeah.
Quarterback play?
You could.
I'd say quarterback play is a bigger issue than who's playing DB.
Yeah. Yeah. Urban Shocker was the number 3 starter on the 27 Yankees. Urban Shocker.
If you had to guess, did Babe Ruth throw 90 miles an hour?
It's a good question. I'd say I would guess he probably threw in the mid to high 80s. That'd be my guess. But I'm sure someone's done an analysis on old film on how hard guys were throwing.
I would say no chance, because if you just go back to when we were kids, wouldn't the average fastball probably be like 90? I'm talking like in the early 90s?
Yeah,
91,
maybe 92.
92?
92 miles an hour.
But in 1992, it was something like that. So what would it have been 80 years previously, right?
Yeah.
Because he didn't throw for the Yankees, right? He threw for the Red Sox. Could he have been throwing like
81?
78?
Could have been.
Were the average fastball
slow,
he's hitting all these home runs was like 76?
It's hard.
What
I mean,
the
there's
ball
a
look
point of diminishing returns where the ball is thrown so soft that it's hard to hit it far.
True. You could tell me the average fastball in 1917 was 83, and I'd believe you.
Benny Bengo.
Relative to inflation, that's a bit faster rate, getting faster balls.
Oh, Wait Hoyt, John. He was actually, I think he's, good pitcher. That was Miller Huggins' 110 win team.
Are we topped out? Like, do you think we'll ever see guys consistently throwing like 109?
I mean, it seems crazy, right?
Seems nuts.
Like, Contreras came along several years ago and was throwing like 101, 102, and no one even really consistently hits that anymore. 101, 102. Remember he'd come out and be like 101, 102, 101,
it does feel like
100.
that, like our lifetime, 100 has kind of been a benchmark that no one flies by, really.
You get a couple here and there, but it's not.
Yeah, maybe you hit it, but like if you're just throwing consistently 99, 100, like that's as fast you can consistently throw it.
Right.
Right? Like it's not like a guy's consistently throwing like even Chapman like 105 like every pitch. Now you can consistently throw 100.
It's not like you're going to get suddenly, I don't know. I mean, now we've got so many mechanical evolutions. We're talking
Stretching.
about peak performance. Are you going to get better bodies than the best bodies you have now? It's hard. Like there's a certain body fat you're just not going to get below, right? So
Institute robots being able to throw, right? You know, they're taking out the working class.
Yeah.
You never know they take out the the middle class in
right.
baseball.
Was
too.
that you telling me that? That
Yeah,
robots just going to start delivering meals at Cheesecake Factory?
It might have been an Onion article. It might have been real. I can't even tell these days. Because it felt like, thinking back, it felt pretty ridiculous. But is it that crazy? Like when you really think
I
about
don't
it?
know if it's crazy. They come to you on a screen, on the wheels. You just poke what you want. Somebody puts it on a tray. Table 4, here you go.
Till the robot, gets hacked and starts throwing food at people.
Yeah, you can't dine and can you dine and dash a robot? They take a photo of you when you sit down. It's like, oh no, it's like a traffic cam.
Or it can catch you. It's got
Can't
wheels.
run a red light, All right, everybody. Thanks for
Have
hanging.
a good weekend, my
Good
people.
mailbag. Go show us
Later.
pictures of your Tito's.
Yeah. Send it to us.